Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. Sunil here. Welcome to the session. Can you hear me? If yes, please type yes in the chat box as a confirmation. If you can hear me. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Rajendra. Thank you all for your confirmations. Thank you very much. So let us stop the chat. Let us stop the chat. Okay. So what is our plan for today? In this session, we'll understand what is DevOps. Okay. What is DevOps? Why DevOps is one of the most important, most in-demand skill set uh, in the current industry. Okay, and what are the topics which will be covered in our course? Okay, and then I'll also have a quick introduction about myself. Okay, you are also allowed to, if you are interested to give your introduction, please raise your hand. So we'll have a discussion. You will also allowed to have your quick introduction about yourself, and then we move on to the session. So this is our plan for today. About myself, my name is Sunil Kopavarapu. I'm based out of Hyderabad, having close to 12 years of experience in the IT industry. Worked in AWS platform, started my career with Oracle applications and shifted to cloud industry. I have worked on AWS as an AWS architect, and then I worked as a DevOps engineer. I worked in Python and Django framework development, and I'm having close to 7 years of experience in online trading. So this is about quick introduction about myself. Participants, if you want to have a quick introduction about yourself, please raise your hand. If you want to have any questions to be discussed before start of the session, please raise your hand. Okay. As we have no questions from the participants, let's proceed to the concept for today's session. To understand what is DevOps, you should have an understanding on SDLC. We should have an understanding on SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle. To understand DevOps, first let's try to understand the concept of SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle. What do you mean by Software Development Lifecycle? Please have a look at it. Assume a client, let's say ICICI Bank is our client. Okay. The client or ICICI Bank needs an internet banking application. Okay, that's a requirement. So that the customer can log into the internet banking application and they can perform banking operations like downloading the statement, creating fixed deposits. Okay, making online transfers. So they need an internet banking application for their customers. So clients like ICICI Bank companies like ICICI Bank approaches software companies like Infosys as your example, or TCS or whatever it is. So client approaches a software development company. Clients approaches the software development companies and explains the requirements. So client will explain the requirements. When a client explains the requirement, the software development companies will understand the requirements and they develop the product and deliver it to the client. This is what happens in the industry. Am I right? This is what happens in the typically you'll have a client in the IT company. Client will give the requirements to the IT company. IT company will understand the requirement and develop the product and deliver it to the customer. Typically what happens, this is what happens in the industry. When clients like ICICI Bank gives the requirements to the software development companies, the software development companies should build the product. In the process of building the product, They cannot build the product in ad hoc manner. There should be a professional, streamlined approach that should be followed. There should be professional, streamlined approach that should be followed right from gathering the requirements from the client and delivering the product to the customer client. There should be a documented approach right from gathering the requirements from the client, building the product and delivering the customer. That streamlined step-by-step process of building a product and delivering it to the customer is nothing but software development life. The streamlined process of building the product and delivering the product to the customer is nothing but software development process. And there are two models in the software development process. There are a lot of models. There are a lot of models in the software development lifecycle. That means there are different approaches. There are different approaches in the software development lifecycle. But let us restrict ourselves with two popular approaches. One is waterfall model. The other one is agile. There are different approaches in building a particular product. Waterfall model, as I have just mentioned, we have agile model, we have V model, we have spiral model. There are different models in the software development lifecycle. So let us restrict ourselves with respect to two popular models. One is waterfall model, the other is agile model. One of the oldest models of the software development lifecycle is waterfall. Highly successful model. Maybe not used now, maybe 3 decades back. It is used probably 3 decades, but not now. Or right now, the complete industry is moved towards the agile model. Okay. So right now, the most popular model as of now is agile model. But before moving on to agile model, let us discuss about waterfall model, how the product is built and delivered using waterfall model. Let's have an understanding. So we are comparing between waterfall model and agile model. This is how the waterfall works. This is how the product is built using waterfall. Okay. The first stage, as you can see in the waterfall model, is the requirement stage. The first stage is the requirement stage. Not only waterfall model, every model starts with the requirement stage. Every model starts with the requirements, isn't it? Okay. So in the requirement stage, there will be regular meetings between the client and the IT development company. In the requirement stage, there will be regular meetings between the client and the IT development company. It is a responsibility of the software development company to take the requirements. If the requirements are clear, then only the companies will build the right product. Is it the most important stage of the requirements? We should be very clear with the requirements. If the requirements gathering is wrong, we end up delivering the wrong product. So the most important stage is the requirement stage, where there will be regular meetings between the client and the IT development company. There will be regular meetings between the client and the IT development company and gathering the requirements. Okay. Let's say the requirements has been completed. Now the software development company is very clear with the requirements. Once the requirements is completed, as you can see in the screen, the next stage is the analysis part. The next stage, the analysis part. In the analysis part, the technology components are decided. The technology components are decided. So should we develop the applications using Python? Or should we develop the application using Java? Or should we develop the application using .NET? What should be the database? Should we use MongoDB database? Or should we use Oracle database? Or should we use Microsoft SQL Server database? What database should be used? What middleware should be used? Application server should be used web logic. Should be used JBoss. Should be used Tomcat. What application server should we use? The technology components are decided in the analysis part. Okay. Okay, they will take the decision. Okay, so let's go with understand building the product using Java as a front end, Oracle as a back end, and Tomcat as a application server. So like this, the technology components are decided. This happens in the analysis part. Once the technology components are decided, the next most important point, the next stage is the design stage. The next stage is the design stage. In this design stage, the entire project is divided into modules. The complete project, the complete project is divided into modules. Assuming a banking requirement and assuming that our ICICI Bank is our client, the project requirement is divided into modules. Example, savings account to one module. Okay, current account one module. Credit cards one module. NRI banking one module. Wealth banking one module. Corporate banking is one module. Customer care is one module. So entire project is divided into modules. This happens in the design. The entire project is divided into modules and the user interfaces, how the user interface looks like, user experience, and the data flow diagrams. Okay, so all this will be designed in the design stage. Okay, you can visualize how the application looks like on paper. This happens in the design stage. So once the design team will complete the design stage, the next part is coding part. The next part is the coding part. In the coding part, programmers will jump into action. The programmers will jump into action. If the technology is Java, the Java programmers. If the technology is Python, the Python programmers. The programmers will jump into action. They take the documents from the design team. As per the user interface diagram, they start developing the code. They make sure the designs are realized by using their coding. So coding team will jump into action and start developing that particular project. So this is called as a coding part. Once the coding stage has been completed, the next is testing. After coding, we cannot deliver it to the customer without testing, isn't it? We need to test. Testing team will jump into action. They test whether the application is perfectly behaving as per the requirements. Testing team will have the requirements document on hand. They verify whether the application is perfectly behaving as per the requirements. If the requirements is satisfied, assuming everything is positive, testing is successful, and there are no errors assuming, then we deliver the project and the client will accept the product. This approach, participants, this step-by-step approach of building a particular product and delivering it to the customer is called as a waterfall model. First of its kind. What do you mean first of its kind? The first model of the software development cycle is waterfall. Okay, so this is the way the products are built using waterfall. Any questions in understanding the waterfall model? On a high level, I have explained how the waterfall model looks like. How a waterfall model looks like. So this is a series of stages which the software company followed for building a particular product and delivering it to the customer. In this particular waterfall model, we have some disadvantages. Right now, as I told you, waterfall model is not used. Right now, the most widely used model in the software development cycle is Agile. Right now, it is the Agile. But before moving on to Agile model, let's understand why waterfall model is not used. It is not used because it is suffering with some disadvantage. What is the problem with the waterfall model? Why waterfall model is not used? Okay, the disadvantage of the waterfall. One of the main problem, let's look at the theory. It is difficult to estimate the time, cost of each phase in the development process. Once an application is testing, it is very difficult to go back and change something which is not well. There's no concept of going back from one stage. There's no concept of going back to the previous stage and making some changes. We need to move forward. There's no concept of what, as the name says, waterfall. Water always falls from top to bottom. There's no concept of water going back, isn't it? In the same way. There is no concept of going back and making some changes. It is not good for complex and object-oriented projects. It is not suitable where the requirements are at moderate to high risk of changing. When the requirements are frequently changing, this waterfall model is not suitable. There is no concept of going back, change something which is not well in the concept. There's no concept of going back. So these are the disadvantages of the waterfall. In this waterfall model, one stage is dependent on its previous stage. One stage is dependent on its previous stage. One stage, resources of one stage will wait for their previous stage to get completed. For example, testing team will wait for the coding team to get completed because only after coding has been completed, testing team will jump into action. It's a stage by stage process. Coding team should complete the coding of a savings account. They should complete the coding of a current account. They should complete the coding of NRI banking. They should complete the coding of credit cards. They should complete the coding of customer care. Once the coding has been completed, now entire project will be shifted to the testing stage, a stage by stage approach. So here in this case, testing team will wait for the coding team to complete their task. Testing team will wait for the testing team will wait for the coding to complete. Coding team will wait for the design team to complete their documents. One resource, one team will wait for the other team to complete their job. Isn't it? Design team, obviously design is not dependent on analysis. Design team will wait for the requirements to be completed. Because one resource will wait for their other resources to complete their job. Because testing should start only after coding has been completed. Coding should start only after the design has been completed. Assuming the design team has given an estimate that they need 2 months to complete the design documents. Assume the design team has given an estimation that they need 2 months to complete the design documents. So all assuming there are 50 programmers. Assuming there are 50 programmers. So 50 programmers will wait for how many months? 2 months. Ideal time. One resource will wait for some other resource to complete their job. The coding team has given an estimate that they need 6 months of time to complete the coding part. So testing resources will wait for how many minutes? How many months? They wait for 6 months. What of waiting time? Because of this dependencies, because of long waiting times, it is very, very difficult to meet the deadlines. If the design team is delayed, the entire resources will also be in pressure. Got it? So it's very, very difficult to meet the deadlines because there's a dependency between one team to other team. And then, as the name suggests, waterfall model, there's no concept of going back and changing. Let's, for example, design team is working on some designs. Assume that the requirements are given on January 1st. Assuming the requirements are given on 1st January. Once the requirements are given, then move to next stage, analysis and design stage. The free requirements are freezed. Waterfall model does not encourage the clients to give new requirements. Waterfall model does not encourages the clients to give new requirements. If the child, see, based on the requirements, they freeze the requirements and designing happens and coding happens. When client wants to give new requirements, maybe after 1 month, they want to give new requirements. No, waterfall model does not encourage the clients to give new requirements. This is one of the most important disadvantage. In the current industry, the business is dynamic. The clients are the customers. Okay, so clients are keeping on changing the requirements. The model should be robust enough to take the new requirements and deliver the new requirements also, where the waterfall model is not able to do it. There's no concept of going back, assuming coding is going on and the design team wants to make some changes. No, it's not possible. It's freezed. There is no concept of going back and changing. There's a lot of dependency between one resource to other resource. The clients are not allowed to give new requirements. These are some of the most important disadvantages because of which waterfall model does not suiting the current industry. Because of which the waterfall model is not suiting the current industry. Okay. And the most widely used model as of now, is the agile. How agile model is different from the waterfall model? Why is it special? The most widely used as of now in the industry is agile model. So what does this agile model? Look at the theory. Agile model is also called as incremental model. The software is developed in rapid cycles. This results in small incremental releases, small releases. Each release building on its previous functionality. Each release is thoroughly tested and quality is maintained. So what model it is? Incremental model. Agile emphasizes on iterative, incremental, evolutionary. Look at the term: iterative, incremental, evolutionary, rapid cycles, incremental releases, incremental. So what is this term signifies? Okay, so let's try to understand all this theory by getting into practicals. Okay, look at this. This is the requirement, right? This is the client requirement. The client is an ICICI bank. They need this kind of banking application where the customers can log into the internet banking and perform their banking operations. This was the requirements. This is what their expectation is. But now, in case of waterfall model, the first stage is requirements, right? First stage is requirement stage. There'll be regular requirements from the requirements team will take the requirements from personal banking. They take the requirements from privilege banking. They take the requirements from wealth banking, private banking, NRI banking, business banking, small and medium scale enterprise, corporate banking. Once they take the requirements of all the modules, then they declare saying that the requirement stage has been completed. It's a stage by stage approach. They take the requirements of all the departments and they declare that the requirements has been completed. The next stage is analysis. As an analysis is not specific to module. The next stage is design stage. Design team will jump into action. Design team will complete the personal banking design, wealth banking, privilege banking design, wealth banking design, private banking. They design NRI banking. They design the documents, all the modules. They design documents, and then they declare saying that the design has been completed. It's a stage-by-stage approach. After the design has been completed, coding team will jump into action. Coding team will complete coding of all these modules. And they declare that the coding part has been completed. Testing team will test all the modules. Then they say that the testing has been completed and they deliver all the modules. The entire project will be delivered at once. The entire project is delivered at once. This is the way the product is built using waterfall model, whereas agile model is completely different. The approach of product development using agile model is completely different. What happens in the agile model? Look at this. Requirements team will take the requirements of personal banking. Okay. Once the personal banking requirements has been completed, the requirements team will move to the next module, that is privilege banking. The requirements team, as they have completed the requirements of the first module, they move to the next module. Requirements team are now busy taking the requirements of privilege banking. If once the requirements team is busy taking the privilege banking, design team will start designing the first module. Why should design team should wait for all the requirements to be completed? Anyways, one module is completed. They can work on the designs of that particular module. Got it? In the next cycle, requirements, assuming the first, second module privilege banking requirements has been completed, requirements team will move on to wealth banking. Design team, they have designed the completed personal banking. Design team will be busy designing the privilege banking. Development team will be busy. They will be developing the code for personal banking. Please observe, my dear friends, the entire workforce is in action. Entire workforce is in action. You are breaking the dependencies. You are increasing the productivity because the entire workforce is in action. Look at the next iteration. Requirements team busy taking the requirements of private banking. Design team busy designing the wealth banking. Coding team busy coding the privilege banking. Testing team will be busy testing the personal banking. In the next cycle, requirements team busy with taking the requirements of NRI module. Design team busy designing the private banking. Development team busy with wealth banking. Testing team will busy with privilege banking. As the testing of module 1 has been completed, we'll deliver the first module to the customer. There is no hard and fast rule that the entire project is delivered at once. In Agile, iterative, incremental, if one module is ready, we deliver it one module to the customer. At least customer is happy. They can experience how the module is looking. They can perform some end user activities, end user testing. Clear? Clear about this? If the client gives a new requirement, they repeat the same cycle with the new requirements also. So Agile encourages the clients to give new requirements. As it is anyways, it's a rapid cycle. So we'll repeat the same cycle for that particular new requirement, and we embed the new requirement, and then we deliver the product with the next version. As the entire workforce is in action, you can meet the deadlines. You can go back and change something which is not well. Clear about this? So this is how the agile model is completely different from the waterfall model. If waterfall model, to deliver a particular product, if waterfall model will take 2 years, the same product with same quality, with better quality, you can deliver it in agile model in just 1 year. If waterfall model takes 2 years for product to be delivered, the same product can deliver it in 1 year in the agile model. So that's the reason the complete industry and agile model encourages the clients to give new requirements. So the entire industry has been moved to the agile model. Clear? So we had an understanding about the waterfall model and agile model, but what is our target? Our target is to learn DevOps, right? Why are we learning waterfall? You may have a question, Sunil, why are you learning waterfall model and agile? Why are we discussing? Our plan is to learn and discuss about DevOps. Yes. DevOps is something related to software development lifecycle, because now if the waterfall model is taking 2 years time to deliver the product, the same product we can deliver it in agile model in 1 year. Now the clients are not ready to wait even 1 year. Even 1 year is a long time. The clients use the requirements. Now they want the product to be delivered in just 3 months to 4 months. They give the requirements. Now they want the product to be delivered in just few months. Such a faster rate, customers are expecting the products to be delivered. When compared to waterfall model, okay, agile is speed enough, but now agile is also slow. They want the products to be delivered in just 3 to 4 months. Clear? Clear about this? In spite of the models, still there is a delay. Even 1 year is a delay. Probably 2 decades back, 1 year is a very less time, but now 1 year is delayed. They want to expect the product to be delivered in much faster rate. So 50 IT companies have done research work for 5 years. I've done a research work for 5 years to understand the term delay, why there is a delay in the software development process. Even though agile model is used, why it is taking 1 year of time? What is the problem which is causing the delay in the software development process? After doing research work for 5 years, they came with a statement. They got the answer. The main reason for the delay is the gap between development team and the operations team. They understood the delay in the process. The main reason for the delay in the product development, even though it is agile model or some other model in future, but the main reason for the delay is the gap between development team and operations team. This is causing the delay in the software development process. To understand this statement, the gap between development team and operations team, you have to understand what is development team and what is operations team. To understand this statement, first we should understand what is development team and what is operations team. If you are clear with development team and operations team, this statement will be very clear for you. So let's try to understand the first term, development team. Development team is pretty easy to visualize. Anybody can understand what is development team. Group of developers developing a particular project is nothing but development team. Yes, you are right. If a Python developers is a development team. If it's a Python project, group of Python developers. If a Java project, a group of Java developers. So development team is nothing but a group of people developing for a particular project. Is called as development team. The responsibility is to develop the code. Very easy to understand and visualize. What do you mean by operations team? What are the responsibilities of the operations team? Is operations team important? Very, very important. Now, look at this. Assuming a small company, small software company, small IT company of 100 employees. Isn't it? There are a lot of companies which is having small companies like 100 employees or 50 employees. Assuming a small IT company of 100 employees. Do you think right from the first employee to the last employee, everybody is a developer? Assuming in the 100 employees working for a particular project, assuming there's only one project for a particular company and 100 employees are working for that particular project for the client. If a resource is working for a particular client, do you think everybody are developers? Right from the first employee to last employee, do you think everybody is a developer? Not the case. All big IT company chains like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, they boast that there are these many number of employees. Do you think every employee working in the organization is a developer? Is it? Is it so? No, not the case. Don't be under the impression that every employee is a developer. Every employee working in the IT industry is a developer. Probably less than 50% or let's say 50% are developers. There are remaining set of people, 50%, they are not developers, but still they are important, critical, billable. You cannot ignore this. Okay, 50 resources are developers. Okay, assume. There are other set of people who are not developers, but they are very important. They're very critical. Client also pays the bill for that particular resources. They are non-development team. They are not developers. They are not belong to non-development team. You may have questions, Sunil, what will be the day-to-day responsibilities of these resources? If they are not developers, then what will be their day-to-day responsibilities? Look at the next slide. Operations team. Those set of people who does not belong to developers, but still they're very important, are called as other set of people are called as operations team. Development team, non-development team is called as operations team. What is the responsibilities of the operations team? Installation of server. It is whose responsibility to install the server hardware, install operating system with respect to server maintenance. Do you think the Java developer will be doing it? Not at all. Not at all. It is whose responsibility for configuring the servers, configuring the networks, configuring the storage. Network administrators comes into the operations team. System administrators, SAN storage administrators, monitoring team. If the server is not responding, who will be giving the first information? The monitoring team will respond. They'll verify, they'll monitor the metrics, what is the CPU utilization and all the resources monitoring team. Who will respond to the outage if the server is down? Development team will be very happy because the server is down. The operations team will be in much pressure because to make the server in action. It is whose main responsibility to maintain cyber security for a particular project. It is whose responsibility to maintain version controlling. It is whose responsibility to perform backup and disaster recovery planning. It is whose responsibility for production support once the product is live. For the entire product to operate, you should have good skilled resources, right from database administrators, network administrators, SAN storage devices, cybersecurity engineers. So you need skilled resources to perform all these operations. Without all these operations team, development team cannot make a one-day progress at all. So these resources are called as operations team. So in IT company, you will have a development team as well as operations team. The main reason for the delay, as you have seen, is the gap between development team and operations team. There's a miscommunication happening between the development team and the operations team. I'll give you a simple example. Development team needs an Oracle database. For the developmental activity, they need Oracle database, let's say 18C version or something like that. That's a requirement of the development team. Now, it is whose responsibility to install Oracle database and provide the Oracle database server. It is whose responsibility, operations team responsibility. There is a resource called database administrators, Oracle DBS. It is their responsibility to provide the Oracle server as per the development team requirements. If the DB is not available, he's on leave, then what's causing here delay? Because the infrastructure is not available. Assuming the DB is available, but the capacity is full, the servers are full. A development team will happily send a mail. Can you please provide Oracle DB instance by tomorrow at 10 o'clock? But that should be provision, right? Either the skilled resources are not available or the infrastructure is not available. So there are several reasons because of which operations team cannot respond to the developmental activities. So this is one use case of reason for the delay. Now, this can be overcome. The gap between development team and operations team can be overcome by using a new team called as a DevOps team. To overcome the problem, to speed up the software development process, there will be a third team called DevOps team. Typical industry will have two teams as of now. One is, as I told you, one is development team and operations team, right? Now, if a client implements DevOps methodology, very, very important. When DevOps methodology is implemented in the software development lifecycle, there will be third team called as DevOps team. There will be new team called as a DevOps team. If the client, most of the companies are implementing DevOps methodology. That's the reason DevOps programmers, DevOps resources are more in demand. When client implements DevOps methodology in the software development process, there will be a new team called as a DevOps team. It is the responsibility of the DevOps team to coordinate with the development team and the operations team and speed up the development process. And this DevOps methodology can be implemented by using DevOps tools, just not coordination. So we have to use the tools. The DevOps tools will help in collaboration between the development team and the operations team to speed up the development process. Okay, so the delay in the software development process is because of the gap between development team and the operations team that can be overcome by using DevOps methodology. And DevOps is a methodology that can be implemented in the software development life cycle by using the tools. Clear? So how the tools, these are the, see, as I told you, DevOps is a methodology that promotes collaboration between development team and the operations team. This allows the deployment of code into production much more faster and automated way. This helps in rapid development product. The product can be developed in rapid, fast way when DevOps methodology is implemented. So what are the tools which are used in the DevOps? Okay, these are the course content which you'll be learning in our course. We start with Linux. The prerequisite for DevOps is Linux. And then we move to first tool of DevOps that is called as Git. Second tool, Maven. We learn about Jenkins, very important tool of DevOps. Docker, infrastructure provisioning tool. Docker Swarm. Kubernetes, orchestration tool. Ansible, configuration management. Nagios, Terraform. So these are the topics which are covered as part of the training course. The training will be like 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Like how we started 6 a.m. We will be starting at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. It will be 5 days a week, only Monday to Friday. Each session is recorded. Each session is recorded, and after the session, you will have recording access. You cannot download the recordings, but you can play the recordings from our portal, and then you will have access to the recordings. Clear? Clear about this? Perfect. Now, this particular DevOps, this particular concept of DevOps, we can learn it on AWS platform. Okay, we can learn DevOps on Microsoft Azure. We can learn DevOps on GCP. We can learn DevOps on all these three tools. In which tool we are learning? If you look at the slide, if you look at the first slide, we are learning DevOps on AWS. All these tools, as I told you, all the tools, okay, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, Ansible, everything will be practically working on AWS. So that's the reason the title of this course is DevOps on AWS. For every DevOps engineer, you have to know 10% of AWS. To understand this particular course, we should know 10% of AWS topics. So if you're zero in AWS, that's not a problem. The 10% which are required for AWS topics, I will be covering in this particular course, not to worry. But it's always recommended to learn exclusively AWS Solutions Architect for more clarity and confidence. Clear? So this is what I have planned for today's session. Any questions? No questions? Okay, perfect. Yes, Hemant.
Hi, Sunil. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Sunil, just the thing, right? So here we have set 10% of AWS if I have to become a DevOps AWS engineer. So similarly, what other skills would I need
For
to
AWS, for DevOps.
Mm,
Okay, for DevOps professional, as I told you, first point, you have to be good in AWS.
okay.
Okay, you have to be good in AWS. So my recommendation to understand this particular course, whatever the required AWS knowledge is required, the 10% I will be covering, not a worry. But in the interview, you are expected to be good in AWS also. Okay, you are expected to be. So my recommendation is exclusively join AWS course. Okay, and become strong in AWS also.
Okay.
And you have to be good in shell scripting.
Okay.
You have to be good in shell scripting. So that's the reason all the participants who will enroll for this particular course, I
Mm-hmm.
have shell scripting, approximately 20 hours of shell scripting videos are available by me. Those shell scripted pre-recorded videos will be provided for you for free. Okay,
Okay.
so that you can also gain shell scripting knowledge. Okay,
Okay.
so DevOps skill set plus AWS skill set plus shell scripting is enough.
Okay.
Okay.
And this shell scripting video, what we will be getting, so that will be attached in the Logic Lab website.
Correct. Correct. Along here, yeah, you will have access to that particular course
And
along with the DevOps course.
this is going to be after the end of this course,
No,
or
no, no. So here actually this is a three. Today is the first day, right?
uh-huh.
Second day, third. We have three demos for this particular
Correct.
course. Once
Okay.
the demos are completed, you have to make the payment. And once the payment is completed, maybe day five, okay, you will get the once the payments are done, maybe not day five, maybe within 10 days, you will get the shell scripting videos.
Okay.
Okay, not
The
at 10.
payment is already made. I did it
That's
on.
okay. 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 So once we receive all the payments, then we provide the shell scripting all at once, all the participants at once. Okay.
Okay. And also, do we get guidance on interviews like
Yes. So
okay.
whenever we are learning, whenever we are focusing on tools like Jenkins, as I told you, Ansible and all those stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll be focusing on the points which are frequently asked in the interview. Okay, you'll get the materials and notes what will be used. Okay,
Okay.
so you have to practice. That's more than enough.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. Hemant. You're from which location?
Bangalore.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Soumya, I can see your hand raised. Soumya, you are allowed to unmute by default. Yes,
Yes. Hello, Sunil. Can you hear me now?
yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, Sunil. I just want to know one thing. Like, I have completed the AWS practitioner certification, and
Very good.
now I'm working in a tech support industry, like little bit of Azure and Exchange and O365 related job,
Okay,
GSD related things. So I just want to move my career from this domain to a full-time DevOps engineer. So I have a very specific question, like how much coding is required or how much coding knowledge is required to be a DevOps engineer?
good question. We are not involved in coding. Okay. So we
Mhm.
don't write any coding at all. There's no coding skills required. We not write. Okay. We just write a YAML script, a YAML file format that just anybody can do it. There's no coding involved here. Okay.
Okay, so I don't need to be a certified coder like a Java
Not
or
at all.
Python code.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay. Because we are
Okay,
not developers, right? So we are
okay,
not involved in coding. We are not involved in development of products. So there is no coding in DevOps. Okay. It's all about understanding the tools like Jenkins, Docker, Ansible. Understand how exactly that tools, what is the motive of that particular tool, how that helps in collaborating between the development team and the operations team, and use that particular tool in the project. Okay.
okay.
So no
So
codings.
without being a developer, I can also get a job in a DevOps industry like
Yes,
a DevOps
correct.
engineer.
Because it's not from the development team, right? So yes, you're right.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's it. That's
Yeah.
on me. Thank you.
Baswaraj.
Am I audible, Sunil?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. As you said, there is a not any kind of a coding skill required. Suppose right now, as you talked about that YAML is regarding Ansible, right?
Regarding Ansible, you're right. Playbooks.
Yeah. Yeah, playbooks. I just suppose if I'm not able to write a YAML code, then what is the what will be the responsibility in
No.
order?
Firstly, what is YAML? It's a
That is
markup
Ansible YAML.
language, right? It's a markup language. It's like an XML.
Yeah.
There's no coding involved here. Okay. You have to understand that particular markup language, how we write XML tags, how we have to write YAML code, how to provide key value pairs. Okay. This does not come as under coding. That is a very common minimum thing. Anybody can do it. Okay. There's no experience is required. Okay. So we cannot consider that YAML as a programming or coding. Clear?
Yeah, but and suppose uh, in Ansible,
Hmm.
just I have to run the command by command line.
Hmm.
Is that a task of a DevOps engineer?
No, you should write the
YAML.
playbook. Yeah. Not just running. You should be in a position to write the YAML code. Okay.
Okay.
So not just running the existing code, you should be in a position to create a new code or modify the existing. Okay. That
One
is
last
expected.
question.
Mhm.
I suppose instead of Ansible, suppose the company, my whatever the organization is using a Terraform. In that case, I should know the Groovy, right? Groovy language,
Groovy is for the Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Terraform is different. It's a for a Terraform file .tf. It is also not much coding. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So don't worry. There's very less coding. Okay. Or in fact, no coding. Okay, Basa.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you all. I hope you have enjoyed the session. See you tomorrow. Also plan for tomorrow. As I told you, we should be good in Linux commands. As a DevOps engineer, all these tools will be configuring using Linux. So that's the reason tomorrow's plan is to start with Linux. We should be good in Linux commands. So tomorrow's session is all about, we'll be creating a Linux environment on AWS. You'll understand how to create an EC2 machine, how to connect to the EC2 machine, and we'll be getting started with the Linux command. So that's our plan for tomorrow. Yes, Kumar.
Uh, Hi, Sunil. Good morning.
Good morning.
Uh, uh, Sunil, I'm working in middleware sectors like in TIPCO. So,
Okay.
as I'm having 7 years experience, switching from middleware to DevOps with AWS, is it good career?
Is a definitely good choice because Kumar, you are from the middleware team. After having good amount of experience in middleware, we cannot go back to development track. Agree?
Yeah.
Isn't it? There's no concept of going back and being a developer after having 7 years or 8 years of experience in the middleware. So the related non-development technologies as of now, the best one is DevOps, Kumar, isn't it? So this is the best decision because most of the middleware engineers or database engineers, network administrators, okay, are now moving because everything is going on to cloud, isn't it, Kumar? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's always good. This is a good choice what you have made. Okay, that's my recommendation.
Yeah. And one more question, Sunil.
Yes.
So, what are the roles and responsibilities as a DevOps engineer?
As a DevOps engineer, you have to use these tools. Okay. Okay, you have to use this Jenkins for automation of software development lifecycle, Docker for creating containers as per the infrastructure requirement, Kubernetes to make sure that the production servers does not go down irrespective of the influence of traffic. Configurations can be done in huge volume by using the concept of Ansibles. The roles you'll understand once we get into the practicals of the tools. Okay, so once we start with tools, you'll understand how to use these tools, what is the importance of those tools, and then you'll you understand how exactly these tools will be helpful for speeding up the software development process. Okay. So you have to wait to understand the tools. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much for taking time and joining this session. The continuation of this session will be tomorrow at same time, 6 o'clock, where our plan is to learn. Yes, Rajendra. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. And just I want to know, like, this course is a complete course or just a basic understanding of DevOps?
This is basic to medium level of understanding of DevOps.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. See you tomorrow where we get started with Linux because Linux is one of the important. We all should be very comfortable with the Linux command. So we'll create a Linux environment on AWS and we get started with Linux for the tomorrow session. You can join tomorrow session using the same Zoom link what you have joined today. Okay. Until then, have a good time. Thank you very much.